What do you do for a living?
Oh, shit. I'm a massage therapist.
Oh, you're a massage therapist. Oh. It's okay. It's okay.
They specialize in reflexology.
Right, specialist in reflexology? What does that mean? Usually it means a hand job. What does yours mean? Oh, your feet? Oh, you do it with your feet? Damn, girl, I never had nobody touch my shit with their feet. You're a legit masseuse. Okay. You went to school. Okay. It's not cash only. There's not paper towels sitting on the edge of the bed. Do you have guys think that though sometimes?
You know, I've been doing it for 16 years and I've only had it one time. And I grew up with brothers. I shut that shit down real quick.
What happened? His shit was just out?
No, actually, he was an older gentleman and my brain was like, money was sitting there. I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh, he left cash?
He had money sitting by his clothes. I had just started. He started, oh, my wife died 2 years ago. But I did my research. I'm like, wait a minute, your wife didn't die. It was your mother.
You went on this fucking website?
Oh, yeah. I work for myself. I work alone. So I do my research before I have a new client.
Yeah. So they're coming to your house or something?
No.
Oh, okay.
Hell.
I'm just asking, motherfucker. I'm not accusing you of anything. You're just sharing all the information. Nah, cause you know I work for myself, by myself, in the second bedroom. Saves on taxes. The IRS doesn't know I'm a cash-only massage therapist. So the money's there. He's saying his wife died.
He was like, are you? And I knew exactly what he was getting to. I had hot stones. I threw him down. I said, get your shit and get the fuck out.
You said that as a masseuse? Get your shit, throw my hot stones down, and get the fuck out.
He didn't come out. I kicked the door open. Whatever he had.
Really? So he didn't. But he didn't like show his shit.
No.
I think you overreacted. I really think you overreacted a little bit. He was just seeing what he could get. All he did was like, look, I know what you getting at. I'm still gonna take this money. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. I'm gonna work on your motherfucking feet. Keep your dick under the towel. Like, I would never do that, but I don't know if I'd say stop if a girl grabbed my shit either. I gotta be honest with you. You're vulnerable. You're just laying there, all of a sudden she tickles your balls. Ooh. I gotta be honest. I'm not gonna do it, but fuck, if a girl, you're butt naked and you're so relaxed, and the music's back there. Do-do-do. Do-do-do. Did this bitch just tickle my ball? I'd probably be laying there like flat, but I try to arch a little bit. Let me see if she gonna grab my dick real quick. I'm probably spread my legs out. Pretty soon I'm laying there. Because it can go both ways. You could have a guy really trying to get a massage, and the girl misreads the room. And then you got the dude, my wife died 2 years ago. You got your phone out, lying motherfucker, it was your mother-in-law. Take your ass home to your unhappy marriage. Slow down, Miller Lite table. Just got a gang of Miller Lights in this motherfucker. How do you four know each other? Are you four all know each other?
That's my son.
That's your son. That's his girlfriend.
That's my friend.
That's just your friend. So where'd you meet her son?
High school.
Really?
School, actually.
Huh?
Middle school, actually.
So you guys start dating? You guys going to prom and shit?
No, actually, we dated outside of high school. Outside of college, actually, too.
So you met in middle school, high school, and then how'd you reconnect?
We just been best friends for like 10 years.
You two have been best friends.
And then
Didn't do anything.
No.
For 10 years, just friends.
Yep.
You know how many times he jacked off to you when you were just friends? This motherfucker was rubbing his shit to you for 10 years. Mom knows, she looked at him. probably walked in on a couple times. God damn it, Ma! I'm sorry. I heard you making noises. I thought something was going on. So how did you guys end up dating after 10 years of being friends and him jacking off?
We both ended it with both of our exes.
Oh, you both had exes?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we just, I don't know, rekindled.
Started fucking. Thanks, Mom. Cut to the chase. They started fucking. I walked in his room and thought he was jacking off and she was on top of him. How long you guys been together now?
4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years? You like her, Mom?
Yeah.
She's cool? Well, that's good. It's important. You know? You gotta know. At least you know who your son's fucking.
I've always known.
You've always known.
Yeah,
You always.
his brothers, I know theirs too.
You know all their secrets too? Do you have a small house that you can hear everything?
No. They always fuck and they can tell me.
They tell you who they fuck? That's wild. How was prom? Mom. This bitch's head game was crazy. Oh my God. I mean, I didn't get prom king, well, motherfucker.
My youngest son called me on FaceTime when he got done having sex with his girlfriend for the first time.
FaceTime? Mom, I did it. I'm a man now. Look, open your mouth. That's me.
As soon as I opened the phone, I went, I'm hanging up.
You saw her?
I didn't see her. I just saw him and I knew where he was and I went, I'm hanging up. I know what you just did.
Yeah.
I said, why the fuck would you call me?
Yeah, FaceTime though.
Yeah.
That's wild. Fuck, man. You have a really close and odd family, Mom.
They love their mom.
They love their mama, boy. You gotta piss? It's going to tinkle. She was running, motherfucker. I've never seen nobody get up that fast. Usually when you gotta piss, you can tell. I'll sit there. Oh, I'll be right back. This motherfucker was immediate. Ooh. Excuse me. Is that your friend? How you guys know each other?
She's married to my best friend.
Married to your best friend. Where's he at?
I know, I guess.
Huh. He didn't want to come?
It was girls' night.
Girls' night, just the two of you.
It was supposed to be a third, but she didn't come.
What happened?
I don't know.
Did she buy a ticket?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't give a fuck. I still get the money. Shit. Keep her ass at the house then. Ain't no refunds, ho. I know she's probably calling the comedy club. I couldn't make it. She gonna come up with that same lie that fucking dude did. My wife died. Motherfucker, you ain't married, bitch. Where did she meet your, what did you say, your best friend? She married your best friend?
Yeah, that was 20-something years ago.
They met 20 years ago? Dang, that's a long time. You don't know where they met? A nightclub or something? You don't know, but it's your best friend. And you don't know where your best friend met his wife? Huh. Oh, I don't think it's your best friend. Never came up, no conversations. I'll ask her when she comes back. She was pissing for a minute. She had a lot to drink. Ooh. So you didn't know her until your best friend started dating her.
Yeah.
And you never asked where you met her.
I don't remember.
I think you do. And I think you don't want to share with the crowd. Was it a strip club? Was it a strip club and she used to be a stripper? You've been very animated with your answers until that one. You got real quiet. That's where they met, isn't it? She used to be a stripper. What's she do now?
She's an RN.
She's a registered nurse? That's usually what strippers do when they retire. That's usually the transition career. There she is. Hey. Hey, nurse. Your knees went down like you're used to going down. She had a flashback. Oh, who he talking to? So she said, you married her best friend 20 years ago and you were a stripper. That is what she said. Where? 20 years ago.
Magic City.
In Atlanta? We might have met. 20 years ago, that's when I was always at that motherfucker. Where'd you meet her best friend at? Because she don't remember. At a poetry reading?
One of these?
Was it like one of them Punani poets? You talking about pussy and shit? Was you a poet? You just watching? Was he a poet? No. You both were just looking at each other? Yeah. It's hot in here. I feel like I'm gonna sweat. But I'm not. I'm gonna stay cool because that pussy wet. Went to get some ice cream, put it in a cone. Motherfucker tried to have me give him a hand job, so his wife was dead, so I hit him with the hot stone. That table's got a lot of Miller Lights. That's a lot of beers. Your mama just found out you was jacking off to her for 10 years. I know I'm not good at this. My rhymes kind of suck. But I ain't FaceTime my mom every time I fuck.
What's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen.
Get some.
I remember my son talked about one time to his mother. I'll never forget that. Never. He was 5. We was at a Denny's in Fresno, California. I don't know why we're at Denny's. I don't know why we're at Fresno. But that's where we were, you know. All of a sudden, he smarted off. I don't even remember what he said. All I know is his mother took him in the bathroom at Denny's. I don't know what happened in that bathroom at Denny's. I don't want to know what happened in that bathroom at Denny's. All I know is he's never smart off since. I know every time we drive by Denny's, he breaks into a cold sweat and starts twitching. Dad, what's up with Denny's? What is up with Denny's? I was like, I would tell you something, but snitches get stitches, remember?
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen with the Get Some podcast. You can listen to this at iTunes. Just go to iTunes and search Gary Owen, hashtag Get Some, or look up United We Cast. Also on YouTube, you can watch and listen at youtube.com/GaryOwenCom. Upcoming dates. March is right around the corner. I'm going to be actually in Virginia Beach at the Funny Bone there, March 1st to the 4th. And then I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I don't want you Steeler fans holding my loyalty to the Bengals against me because I haven't been to Pittsburgh in like 2 years. And I really enjoy the city of Pittsburgh. And I have nothing against people being loyal to their team. And there ain't nothing like going to a Steeler game. Even as a Bengals fan, I like going to Steeler games because that stadium always be rocking. But I'm there. I'm in Pittsburgh at the Improv March 9th to the 11th. And fun fact about Pittsburgh that I'm sure Pittsburgh people know, but a lot of people don't. It's the only major city with 3 sports teams that all have the same team colors. The Steelers, the Penguins, and the Pirates are all black and yellow. Fun fact. Only known by Gary Owen and people in Pittsburgh. So I'm in Pittsburgh March 9th to the 11th. And then I'm in Columbus, Ohio, March 15th to the 18th at the Funny Bone. And Virginia Beach, March 1st to the 4th. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, March 9th to the 11th. And Columbus, Ohio, March 15th through the 18th. That's where I'll be. got a lot to talk about, just like I got a lot to talk about every week. All-Star Game, I enjoyed it more than I think I have in the last probably 10 years because, one, the game was good. Two, they were actually playing some defense. And three, it looked like people cared. So at first I wanted to stay east-west. But then when I saw it, I was like, I liked it. Because you basically have the most popular and best guy in the East, LeBron, against Steph Curry in the West. So really it was kind of an East versus West captains, but then they got to pick their own teams. The only thing I would change is next year, I think the draft should be public because they're so scared about hurting people's feelings, which is ridiculous. The NFL draft is public. Every draft is public. And I think it goes back to when I watched the UFC, The Ultimate Fighter. They pick the fighters, 1 through 16, they pick them. And you can always tell the last pick is always a little pissed. They always want to prove something a little more. So if you're the last pick in the NBA All-Star Game, aren't you going to play a little harder than the guy that was the second, third pick? Because you want to prove like, you're going to pick me last? And I just think it adds to the drama. It adds to the game itself. So I think, of course, because it's not like it's a bad thing to be the last pick in the All-Star Game. It's just you probably aren't the best player out there. I mean, we know who the first picks are always going to be. I just liked it, man. And I think it's obvious after watching the All-Star Game. LeBron's like the new Jordan. He's the MVP every year. I mean, Harden's probably going to get it, but LeBron's the best player. And we all know it. You saw how he willed his team to win in the All-Star Game.
Communicate. Team Stephen does not have a timeout. Team LeBron has one timeout. Neither club has shot well from three-point range. Now to 5 seconds. Curry looking for the three. Curry double team. Curry can't find it. Now goes, and that will do it. And Team LeBron off the bench. A happy group.
We were down the whole game, and then to come back, it was LeBron, man. They was playing D. Steph couldn't get a shot up the last possession. It was just good. I liked it. One thing I would never have again, I would not have Fergie singing the national anthem. I would never do that again. I think she had good intentions, like I'm going to make it sexy. But at some point, somebody in her crew has to tell her, that's not going well. I don't think that's going to hit. I tell you, in her defense, though, when you rehearse and you do something, there's no crowd. If you're trying something different, you don't know what the reaction is going to be because there's absolutely no energy in the building when you're doing it. It's weird when I do sound check or I get ready to film something, stand up for TV, because sometimes they want you to run a couple jokes to see how it sounds and where the camera is going to be. But it's always weird running jokes and there's no audience. You just don't know that there's no energy in the room. So you just don't know. So I wouldn't have Fergie ever do that again. And even though Kevin Hart's my boy, I wouldn't have a comedian trying to crack on people as they're getting introduced for the All-Star Game. Because I wasn't there live, but I heard there wasn't a lot of energy in the room, which is, when you're doing something like that, it's the equivalent of a hell gig. There's things that we know are hell gigs and in this business. And that, to me, that was a hell gig. I would have just, if it was me, I would have just been hyping them up, been excited for them. I would have got the laughs just off the energy I had. But when Kev was trying to crack on them, the only reason I didn't like it is because some of those guys, some of them, that's going to be the peak of their career. They worked so hard to make it to the NBA. Look at the guy from Miami that was the replacement, Dragic, and then Victor Oladipo, who didn't get his just due in Orlando, goes to Indiana, he's balling out, and he busted his ass over the summer because I follow the guy that trains him, and he makes the All-Star game. Last thing he wants to do is get bagged on when he gets introduced. He's like, "Yo, man, I worked my ass off for this. I want love right now. I don't want to get bagged on." I just think there's a time and a place, and it looked like a lot of players wasn't feeling it. and I think Cam probably got with his boys, like, okay, this will be funny. And in a comedy club setting or most other settings, it probably would be funny. But I just think in that setting, I don't think it was the place. And that's just my opinion, So when I saw that, I was like, So those are two things I would change. And the halftime show with Pharrell, I was lost. I missed it. Like I wasn't on acid. I was like, I don't get it. Like I think if I was on acid, I would have got it. I don't know. But I was a little lost. We're always trying to up the bar and change things, but sometimes things aren't broken. Just hype them up. The best intros is when you let the players decide how they want to be introduced. Almost like baseball players. Do you ever go to a baseball game? More often than not, I haven't been to every stadium, but when a player gets introduced, when it's his turn to bat, a song comes on. The player gets to pick that song. So you kind of get a feel for what he's about. And it'd be funny too, because sometimes there'd be white dudes and this hardcore hip hop song would come on. You'd be like, oh, I would never think Joey Votto listened to that. And then you can always tell if a guy's Spanish because then like a Spanish song comes on, like, oh, okay, now I see you, Soriano. I see what you're doing there. And I think that for me, that was what the NBA should do. Like, remember when Shaq came out with the Jabberwockies? And then even to a lesser extent, when Drake was introducing the people, all the NBA All-Stars was in Toronto, Drake just hyped them up. He just hyped them up and gave them their props. And I like that. I understand what the goal was with Kevin and whoever came up with that idea. And then to me, it would sound good in a pitch meeting. It would sound good. It might even sound good in rehearsal. Like, that's going to kill. But when I saw it on TV, I don't know. I wasn't feeling it, I should say. I wasn't feeling it. I was like, I just think those guys worked so hard. And some of them was like, man, I don't want to get bagged on right now. Busting my ass to make this All-Star game. You just going to bag on me? But speaking of Kev, after the All-Star game, which was great, the next day, probably one of the most iconic pictures was taken on Instagram. And I'm going to post it on my YouTube page. But it was Kevin, Eddie Murphy, Chris Rock. It was Dave Chappelle. It was Chris Tucker. And they all got a picture together. I guess they all went out to eat. And then there was another picture with Gabrielle and Dwayne Wade in the picture. I think Dwayne was in that picture too, Dwayne Wade. And then Gabrielle was there and all the couples was there. So Kev had his wife, Aniko, and Chris had his girlfriend. And Dave and Chris Tucker didn't have theirs, but Eddie, there was one white girl. I was like, it's got to be Eddie's chick. But it was an iconic photo to say the least. And I was just thinking, if Eddie, Chris, Dave, and Kevin, I would never put them on tour together. But if they just did like one monster show, I remember years ago, Garth Brooks did Central Park and he had 1 million fans come out. They could easily put those four together and then say, we're going for 1 million fans to come to a comedy show. And they could do it at a Central Park, or they could do it in LA somewhere, or just a field. They'd have to find like a Coachella or some shit like that. And I bet you Eddie would have to host. My lineup would be Eddie host, Kev, Chris, and Dave. That would be the lineup if I was going to put that together. And not that it's a respect factor for Kev to go first, because, and I think he would agree with that, you would have to have Chris and Dave because they're the vets. And then Eddie would have to host because he just hasn't been around in so long doing stand-up. Almost like Martin's got that tour coming out now called the Lit AF Tour, which means as fuck, lit as fuck. Now, he's got different comics on the road with him, but Martin's hosting because he knows he's getting back in it, getting his feet wet. And that's a smart way to go when you're getting back into theaters and headlining like that. Just host, then you can riff a lot. And if a joke falls flat, not a big deal. You got a guy coming up after you. And so I just think, man, that'd be unbelievable. I bet you those four could do 1 million somewhere. Man, that'd be groundbreaking. They could make a movie out of that. Easy. Putting it together and leading up to the show and backstage, and everybody will watch it. I mean, I don't know. Netflix should throwing out crazy money. Just an idea. Other thing that happened last week was Black Panther came out and just blew away box office numbers. Blew them away. And I waited till Monday to see it after opening weekend because my wife wanted to see it with me. And I was working in Orlando that weekend. It came out. And so I lied. I told people I was going to go see it opening weekend, and I didn't. I went Monday. But that's just because me and my wife wanted to see it together. And it was kind of cool that the theater we went to was it was in the suburbs, but it was black and white people would go to that theater to go see it. And like the black people was dressed in like African garb. Like they had the dashikis on and how old boy would dress from Living Single. Not what was the guy's name? Kyle. How Kyle would dress on Living Single is how a lot of people would dress. And it was kind of cool to see. It was such a good movie too. I mean, the special effects were amazing. And Chadwick Boseman, what can he play? I know he played Thurgood Marshall and Jackie Robinson. So I go see Black Panther, and he's got the accent, the African accent. And then I get home the next day, and I see a movie on Netflix, and I don't know what it's called, but it's a Netflix original. And he's playing a South African guy comes to LA to look for his missing sister, and he's got the same accent that he had in Black Panther. And I just started to wonder, like, I wonder if they filmed that right after Black Panther or right before it, because clearly he had the accent on point. So maybe they was like, look, he's got the accent down. We got to do this movie now. I'm guessing the movie was done after Black Panther, because with all the special effects, and I'm sure they had to do a lot of reshoots, it looked like the Netflix movie, Chadwick could have did immediately after, and it wasn't a lot of special effects. They probably could have shot that in 6-7 weeks. But I find myself talking like I'm in the Black Panther sometimes. I'll just be around my house. I go, why do you look at me like that? My wife is in the bedroom. I go, do you normally undress in that manner? My accent's terrible. Sorry. It's like a half Chinese, half London, half African accent. It sounds really bad now that I just heard myself do it on my podcast. I take all that back. I'm sorry. I was trying to be funny. I kind of feel like Kevin introducing NBA players right now. That just fell flat. In my mind, it was about to be funny. And then when I just said it, I go, no, not funny. See, look how bad that accent was. Yeah, I take that all back. But Black Panther was so good. And what's crazy about the Black Panther is I get to LA right before opening weekend of Black Panther, like 2 days before it opens. So I'm in the airport, and I know this TMZ guy when I see him. And I always know I'm his second or third choice. Always. When he sees me, like he'll look at me and he won't come to me right away. And then when he realizes nobody else is at the airport, then he'll approach me. Because I remember one time I was coming down the escalator and I saw him standing there, and I heard someone that goes, "Hey man, you just missed Solange." He goes, "Ah." And I guess then he came to me realizing Solange was already gone. But he hemmed me up this last trip I did to LA, because I guess there was a petition from change.org that was asking for 25% of the proceeds from Black Panther go to the Black community. And I thought that was the most ridiculous, because I was like, okay, for one, that's such a blanket disbursement of the money. What exactly is the Black community? Here's the thing. We let, and I'm finding this out, and it's a good thing. It comes with territory. We let the media get some people all fired up about shit that really is, there's no substance to it. No movie ever being made was obligated to give part of its proceeds to a charity. When the TMZ guy hit me up and asked me about it, I was like, no, that's not the responsibility. Because when does it end? When does another charity come out? Because they filmed a good portion of the movie in South Korea. So does South Korea deserve part of the proceeds to the South Korean community? What is that? And even when this TMZ guy asked me, Gary, do you think it's a good idea to give 25%? And I was like, no, just go see the movie, support it first weekend, which I didn't. I went Monday, but I did pay my money to see it. And then if it does well, it opens up so many other doors for more movies of this genre and more majority Black cast like this was. And, it's obvious there's going to be a Black Panther 2. Just don't rush it. I don't want to see it come out next year. I'm thinking it's 2018, 2020, late at the soonest. It really could be a Christmas release, maybe 2019 Christmas release at the soonest. But man, that movie was so good. The special effects, the acting, it was good. It was good. And everybody was in shape. That kind of bothered me a little bit. Like, I literally had some popcorn and had to set it down. That's the bad thing about watching superhero movies like Thor and Black Panther. Like, you'll have a soda and popcorn and some Raisinets and be like, you guys got any hummus or celery? They should sell that at the theaters for these superhero movies. But back to the TMZ. So the guy hems me up and he asked me the question. And I basically said, no, it's not their obligation. Just go see the movie, support it, and it opens up doors for more movies like this. So that's what I said. And I said, he said, well, they're promoting it heavily to the Black community. And I said, no, they're promoting it heavily everywhere. And I said, they just did a whole press junket in South Korea. And that's before I saw the movie and realized, they filmed a good portion of the movie in South Korea. So obviously they're going to promote it there. But they want South Koreans to go see the movie too. And plus it's just not their responsibility. And I hate how whoever this change.org petition got going, they got all these people fired up about nothing because it was never going to happen. It's a stupid argument. It's never going to happen. It was never going to happen. You're opening up Pandora's box with that because then the other movies open. And then what do we got to give to that organization? We got to give to this organization. It's like, no, if you want to give to charity, give because you want to give. Now it becomes you're obligated to give because then it really doesn't mean anything anyways. If you're obligating people to give, well, I mean, when does it stop? So the guy asked me the questions and I thought I answered diplomatically, like, hey, go support the movie. I'm going to go see it and I hope it does well. And I thought I was all positive. You just go support the movie and then it makes money. And then more movies like this will get made with black lead actors and black and black superheroes, which is huge because Marvel's killing it right now. Marvel is destroying DC. And I would have thought it was the other way around if you would ask me Marvel or DC, which movies are going to be bigger, I would have said, Superman, Batman for sure. No, it's the other way around. It's Marvel killing it. Stan Lee, come on now. So I make this comment to TMZ and I keep it moving. I guess they found Vivica A. Fox at the airport too, the same guy, and he interviewed her. And she said, yeah, that'd be awesome if they gave 25% to the black community. Vivica didn't know I got interviewed. So it wasn't me versus her. She didn't say anything bad towards me. I didn't say anything bad towards her because neither of us knew. Both of us got asked the same question. All she said was, it would be great if they did it. She didn't say they have to do it. She goes, yeah, it'd be great. Next day, here's what the headlines read on TMZ and all these other blogs that picked it up, these news outlets. Vivica A. Fox supports Black Panther giving 25% of the proceeds to the black community. Gary Owen does not. And I was like, these motherfuckers took what I said and now twisted it into I'm against giving, And I'm like, see how they twisted that? Read the headline. You think Vivica A. Fox is for the Black Panther and for the black community, and I'm not, which was the furthest from the truth. But it just shows me how the media, and it's really, and I'm glad it's happening because now I know to read everything. Like I'm not just going to read the headlines. I'm going to read and see what it's really about. Cause I got to admit, I've been a, what do you call it? Not a victim, but I've been bamboozled or fooled before by just reading a headline and believing it. But it was like, oh, I see what they did here. But that's not what happened. Vivica didn't know I got interviewed. I didn't know Vivica got interviewed. Vivica did not say they have to give 25%. She goes, yeah, it'd be great. I just said, it's not their obligation. They don't have to do that. You can't force somebody to do that. Change.org, whoever started that. And then I heard conflicting stories about that. I heard it was started by a white dude that was just trying to start shit. And then I heard it was started by a black guy that's just looking for a handout. But it just goes to show you how people get riled up and fired up over nothing. I mean, really, all that was nothing. Because really, there was no way in hell they were going to give 25% of the proceeds to any charity, any organization. And when you say the black community, what exactly is that? Where does that money actually get dispersed? That's such a blanket. There's no such thing as the black community and it goes to one organization that gives it evenly to all the black communities in the country. It's just bullshit. But they make you think now they got all these people fired up about nothing. And now you got people. It was funny because what I found out is Black Twitter is real. I've heard about it, like Black Twitter will come after you. Well, after the Monique situation calmed down, which is already dead to me, it was done, it was gone. Now it's like, why is Gary Owen keep sticking his nose in black people's business? He needs to stay in his own lane. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's like, I got to ask the question in the car. Like the TMZ guy didn't hit me up at the airport. He chased me down and I'm in the car and my driver stopped and damn near backed into him. And if you look at the video, you can see it. We're going to put it on my YouTube page. If you see the video, you see I'm in the backseat of a car. I'm waiting to go to my hotel and we're in the parking garage. We're at the top of the parking. You can see. And he knocked on the window. I was like, and I know the guy. I don't know his name, but I know him when I fly into LAX. He's like, Gary, what's up? And I don't even know if he wrote the article like that or he just posted it and then somebody else said Gary Owen isn't. But, he always asks me crazy questions. So I never know where I'm coming from. And, I try to make light of the situation. But it just, all of a sudden, okay, I spoke out against a black woman, Monique, and now I'm speaking out against the black movie, Black Panther, which is both bullshit. You just got people, reading these headlines and not really looking. And then it was great, though, because one girl on Twitter that really broke down what I said and said, why are you guys so upset? It don't mean us. He goes, she even called out. She goes, who's ever writing these articles, they're fooling you guys. You guys are like sheep being led to the slaughter. Look at what Gary said. He said nothing bad about the movie. He said nothing bad about the proceeds. Nothing. He just said it's not going to happen. It wouldn't happen, and it's not their duty. That's all. He goes, and it isn't. There's been no movie that's been forced to give to a charity. That's stupid. It's just dumb. So, but you got somebody came up with that, got all these people fired up, and all of a sudden this black Twitter, which is a real thing, I found out, and I don't know where all these people come from, but they just come, you Gary Owen, stay in your lane. Just because you got a black wife and black kids, that does not make you black. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck just happened? I was in the back of a car. A guy asked me a question and I answered. I had the right not to answer, but I didn't think it was a big deal. So I answered. And like they said, there's no such thing as bad publicity. There really isn't, because the people that come to my shows and paying to see me, they know what I'm about. And the people that are mad on Twitter and saying they will never support me, you were never going to support me anyways. You have never been to one of my live shows. So I can speak whenever I want. And I've been talking about it on stage now of how, black Twitter, stay in your lane. I'm like, what exactly is my lane, by the way? And if you're saying stay out of black people's business, then you're telling me to stay off of my wife's business, out of my kids' business. And by the way, I said my oldest son is my stepson. He's a black kid. He's full black, by the way. And I paid for him to go to college. So I paid for a black kid to go to college. And all these people on black Twitter was like, well, stay in your lane. How many kids you sent to college that wasn't yours? Shut the fuck up. How many black kids you paid to go to college that wasn't your kid? Shut the fuck up. I'm in my lane. I almost said homie. I'm in my lane, homie. That's what cracks me up. Like, how you going to tell me stay out of black people's business? Have you been to my house? There ain't no more black people in that house. That is my business. And if you ask me a question, and that goes another thing. If you ask somebody a question and they give you an honest answer, their opinion, they're just being honest with their opinion, then you're mad about them. People are mad about that. So you want people to be honest, but then when they are honest, you attack them for their honesty. But I'll tell you this. I did have a lady when the Monique shit was going down. I had a lady on Facebook that sent me a well thought out private message on Facebook. And it just was, she was telling me she's a fan of mine. She's followed me for years and she doesn't agree with the tone and how I seem to be attacking Monique in the Instagram video I made. And she goes, I just wish you would have stated your points in a more monotone, and she said, because it is hard for black women out here in the workforce. It is. And she goes, and she even said, even though I don't agree with what Monique's trying to do, it did make it a topic of discussion. And I sent her a message back, and I really sent messages back on personal messages like that on my fan page. I just told her, thank you. Thank you for not attacking me. Thank you for making me sit down and think about your point of view. And I was just giving you, and I gave her my point of view. And then she sent me another message back. And we had like 4 or 5 back and forth messages, but it was refreshing because it was just a lady stating her point of view, telling me, hey, this is what you should think about. And I was like, you're right. Because my Instagram was a little fired up. I was a little emotional when I made it. But it was nice to have some person goes, I'm not going to stop being your fan. I'm not going to stop come seeing you if you come to my city because of this one incident. She goes, I just didn't agree with how you delivered the message, not necessarily the message. And I was like, you know what, you're right. And then she saw my point of view also. And I said, hey, I wasn't trying to attack Monique. I was more just standing up for a friend of mine. So it was nice. And I was like, see, there are people out there that really read and listen to everything you're saying. But then when you just automatically come at me on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram and you started off with white boy or white stay out of black people's business, there's no reason for me to respond. Because no matter what I say, you've already made up in your mind white people's opinions aren't valid in any kind of racial discussion. But I can't address that. But that black Twitter is real because they came at me hot and heavy. But it is nice when people were like, yo, and you can have an open discussion because I like to think I have an open mind to things and I'm not right about everything. And when that lady sent me that message on Facebook, I said, yeah, you're right. I probably wouldn't have got so much backlash from the Monique rant if I wasn't yelling or seeming so passionate. If I would just said, hey, listen, Mo, come on. Will's a good guy. Then that would have been a different reaction. And she was right. I was like, yeah, I could have said the exact same thing with less passion, I should say. And I probably wouldn't have got the backlash I got. So it was, that's the good and bad part about social media. You can get attacked a lot, but it's also, you can actually have good interactions with people and have discussions that when you get done with the discussion, you just feel better. It's crazy, like how a message on social media can put you in a foul mood or it can put you in a good mood. And I just said, you know what, I'm not going to do any crazy fired up rants anymore like that. And so in that instance, this Facebook message, it helped me too. It helped me a little bit. So I just wanted that lady that sent me the message, thanks for sending it to me. And I even told her, I told her, thank you. Thanks for having just a good discussion with me because I actually enjoyed it. So we had a real tragedy happen also with the school shooting down in South Florida. And then it became a gun debate. And my thing is, I was a cop in the military, and every night I turned in my gun to the armory. I never took it home with me. Never took my gun home with me. And I was relieved. I didn't want that on me. I didn't want a gun on me and I just lived in a little apartment in San Diego, but I had to go to work every day with a gun. I had a gun that was mine, but I never brought it home. And then, with the AR-15, this kid could purchase the AR-15 pretty easy. And he goes in and just goes on a rampage. I just think there has to be a discussion. There has to be laws that are changed that, what do you need an AR-15 for? You need that to shoot a deer? Don't go deer hunting. Because the thing about it, if you take an AR-15 to go hunting any kind of animal, it's kind of like going bowling and you're going to roll 8 balls down the lane. Yeah, of course you're gonna get a strike. That's kind of boring. So hunting, everybody I know that goes hunting for deers and rabbits and it's a shotgun, a pellet gun. It's something you can just get one shot, and you got to do it. What do you need a military assault rifle for? To me, there's no justification. And if you look at all the mass shootings, they're all done by AR-15s, most of them. And Columbine started it. When Columbine happened in 99, 2000? I think it was 99. People see it. They see the reaction. They see the press it gets, and then they follow it. And that's what's going on. And then you got teenagers who feel left out, different. And then I would read stuff about how this kid, it is true. Like if it would have been a Muslim or Mexican kid, oh my God, there would have been an outrage on Muslims and the religion and the Mexicans. And we got to get these documented illegals out of here. But it's a white kid, even though his last name's Cruz. He's very quick to say, I think he was Italian. And then they say his mother passed away and he went downhill from there. That holds no weight with me. Then because what it seems like the media is trying to do is humanize the kid. When you kill 17 people with no regard, I don't care what kind of trauma you went through. There's no excuse for that. None in my book. You can have that shit. You can have that. But they're going to try to humanize him, say he was mentally ill, whatever. There's 17 people. And then my thing is, you want schools to look like college campuses. Some schools look like prisons and some look like college campuses. And if you look at most of the mass school shootings, they're at the schools that look like college campuses. They're not at the inner city schools, the low income schools that look more like prisons. Because I really think you get a metal detector, you get an armed security guard on campus, and I don't care what school it is, it's a deterrent for anyone thinking about shooting up a school. It's just a deterrent. Okay, see, the metal detectors, and I looked it up, the pricing of it. They can range anywhere from $1,000 to like $30,000, which the schools aren't going to get $30,000 metal detectors. Probably get $5,000-$6,000 metal detectors. So I say, put metal detectors in every school, every single one. Put security guards at every school. I don't care how much tuition is. I don't care what kind of the income is for that school. Every school should have a metal detector, because I'd rather be preventive than trying to figure out what went wrong after the fact, which is happening now in South Florida, which happened at Sandy Hook, which happened at Columbine. If you look at the inner city schools, there's no mass shootings in inner city schools because they got those metal detectors there because they're anticipating something might happen. So shouldn't we be anticipating something might happen at these higher income schools? And if you want to say, metal detectors cost money, security guards cost money. You know what else costs money? Caskets, flowers, funeral homes. Those cost money also. So now you got 17 people. I would have no problem with my kids walking through a metal detector every day. Even when I was a cop, in the military, when the base I was on in San Diego, Tuesday nights was urban night. It was black night. And so you had to walk through a metal detector, and we had to wand you down before you got into the base nightclub. And when my first night doing it, because you had to do it like once every other week, Tuesday nights, you had to work at the nightclub on the base. And I was working nights. And I always felt awkward because it was always like most of the cops are white. And then you got all these black people coming into the club. And we didn't do it on country and western night. We didn't do it on Friday and Saturday night. Like today, we always had the metal detectors, but he didn't have the wand, the extra. Well, what I found out was there was a shooting on the base, and somebody there have been guns confiscated at that nightclub on Tuesday nights. And that's why we took the extra precaution, the base did, to wand people down even after the metal detector. But I still felt awkward because here I'm a white guy and most of the cops are white, even though we did have some black security guards, and the black people was coming through. And until one brother, as I'm wanding him down, like he just said in my ear, like, "Hey man, I'm so glad you guys are doing this shit." And I just felt, okay. I felt like it was okay to do it then. Because even he told me, basically he was telling me, look, I want to go out and have a good time, and I don't want anything to happen. So regardless, and I swear to you, nothing ever happened at that nightclub. I did that for a year. Tuesday nights, 32nd Street, San Diego. The base club was the urban night, the black night. Never had problem, other than the occasional pushing matches, scuffles, girls arguing. That's going to happen at a nightclub when you got young people and liquor. That's going to happen. Never no weapons, never a knife, never a gun, never brass knuckles. Nothing like that ever happened, ever. It was one of the smoothest nights on the base. I bet you they have more fights and arguments on the Friday and Saturday nights when they weren't wanding people down, and not because people bring weapons, but it's just less of a deterrent. If you see you're walking through a metal detector and then you see cops wanding people down too, you're like, shit, security's tight here. You're not going to get an argument. You're going to get caught. And there's cameras. So I just say we got to find a way. I mean, we can have that gun discussion day and night because people that are pro-guns are not going to change their mind. They're just not. And people against guns are not going to change their mind. But I do like how the kids are starting to do, I think March 24th is supposed to be a nationwide walkout of the schools. And if you don't hear these kids, I mean, the way they're speaking, the kids from the high school that just got shut up in South Florida, I mean, they're so passionate. I mean, how do you not listen to them? And it's just the NRA lines the politicians' pockets with so much money. And it's so easy for people to be like, you're just taking blood money and da-da-da-da-da. But it's not a little amount of money. I mean, the NRA is lining with multi-millions, these politicians' pockets. So for the politicians to be like, yeah, my conscience, but they're also thinking, I'm looking out for my family. I want them to be set up financially when this is all said and done. So all these politicians that are not wanting to vote in stricter gun laws because the NRA is like, no. I mean, when somebody's giving you that amount of money, it's not an easy thing to say, nah, I'm going to take a stand. Because then you're like, now I'm risking my immediate family's financial future. So what's going to have to happen, and it's tragic, and I hope it doesn't, but the only way probably that this could ever really get movement and politicians start speaking out is it's going to happen to a president, vice president, senator's kid is going to be at school and get shot and killed. And then they're going to be like, whoa. So I took all this money from the NRA, but now my kid got killed because some other kid was easy access to an AR-15. And then the argument that a lot of people have is, well, then the criminals are going to get the weapons, but then the average citizen won't have access to it. Look, man, there's no magic wand that's going to eliminate crime, that's going to eliminate guns from everywhere. But it reminds me of when I got to DC, when I was 18 years old, I get stationed in DC, and I get stationed in Honor Guard in Washington, DC. And when I got there, it was the murder capital of the country. DC was in 92 was the murder capital of the country. And then I went to this class, and it's a transition class. It lets people know where to go, where not to go in DC, what you can expect, what you shouldn't expect, how to ride the metro, because you had a bunch of teenagers without cars and not a lot of money. And what they said was, even though DC is the murder capital of the country, 85% of the murders are drug related. So if you're not involved in the drug business, you're probably not going to get murdered, is what it came down to. If you're not in the areas where it's a high drug area. And let's just be honest. If you leave people alone and you're good to people and stuff like that, most likely shit ain't going to happen to you. But it's going to happen every now and then. But if you do the right things in life, and chances are crime's not going to find you like that. But then you got these crazy situations like these mass school shootings and stuff. So we can't just sit here and be like, okay. I hear that. I heard that a lot this week. My prayers are with you, our thoughts. That don't do shit. Pray for me before the shit happens. But afterwards, I'm like, that's not going to bring my son or daughter back. I wish Trump would have like a town hall in Florida at this high school even. And let people, get their shit off. You're going to have to take some heat, but let them sit there and vent. They deserve it. They deserve that much. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's so hard because the people that are pro guns, you're not going to change their mind unless something happens to them. And for every story of a mass school shooting, there's also a story of somebody getting robbed or somebody trying to mug somebody, but that person had a gun and they stopped the robbery. But that's not normal. That even most people that have guns in their house, it's in a safe. So if you are getting robbed, you're not just going to be able to run to the safe. It's just so hard. I mean, we got so many preventive measures now. You got 911 and you got buttons you can press in your home that alert the cops right away. There's so many other outlets, but it's so rare somebody breaks in somebody's house and the robbers die or get killed by the homeowner. It happens, but it's so rare. I hate it when gun owners act like, I'm just protecting my family. No. You got a little ego. You like that power in your hand is what you like. Let's be honest. It ain't, I'm just trying to protect my family. That's such a fucking cop-out when it comes to that shit. Because let me tell you something. Being an ex-cop, I had to pull my gun out one time. I was nervous as shit when I pulled my gun out. I was shaking. I was looking like Barney Fife. I was so nervous. Granted, I didn't shoot it, put it back in my holster, but I had to pull it on somebody one time. Man, everything went through my brain. And I was a trained cop. And I was scared as shit. And I was in control of the situation. I can't imagine what would go through my brain. Somebody's in my house breaking in. I got to pull out my gun. What the fuck? Be lucky to hit that dude. It ain't like it's easy to shoot somebody, too, when you're nervous like that. Shit, you could aim for the kitchen and hit the bathroom. Now, one other thing, I want to end this episode on a good note. When I was in Orlando, I did a joke about, I do a joke now in my act about I could never join the Army and Marines because I could never be that guy to jump in a grenade. I could not be that kind of American hero. I couldn't kill myself so my platoon would live. I could like to tell myself that, but I couldn't do it. And so I said I couldn't be the guy to jump on a grenade. There's more to the joke. So after my show, this guy comes up to me, and I posted it on my Instagram page, a picture of me and this guy. He comes up to me, he goes, "Hey man, you ain't got to jump on a grenade, you just got to kick it." And he sticks out a prosthetic leg. And he lost his leg. He was ex-military. He lost his leg by kicking a grenade. The grenade exploded and he lost his leg. But the fact that this guy could come to my show, laugh at my joke about not being able to jump on a grenade, and then come up to me afterwards and say, "You don't jump on a grenade, you kick it." It just, I tell you, I recharged my battery as a comedian. And I've sent a long message. I don't know who the guy is, and hopefully I can find him, because after a show, you're coming down off stage, and you got a lot of people. I do meet and greets, so you got a lot of people coming to try and get pictures. So it's pretty much like it's a cattle call almost. It's an assembly line. You're just trying to get these pictures and sign autographs and stuff so you can get ready for the next show. So I didn't get a chance to process what just happened until afterwards, and I was like, "Holy shit!" I said, "That guy lost his leg kicking a grenade. So a grenade exploded, lost his leg." And he's able to come to my show and not take it personal when I do a joke about not being able to jump on a grenade. And he laughed about it. And we shared like a big laugh when I saw his leg. And he said, "You got to kick it." And it was like a big laugh. And if I saw the guy, I don't tell him thanks. Because I did a joke about my cousin who's special needs. And I had all these special needs advocates come after me. "You can't be talking about people like that." I wasn't talking about a bunch of people. I was talking about my cousin. And they took it so personal. And this guy who lost his leg didn't take my joke personal about jumping on a grenade. He was able to laugh about it. And it just lets me know that how important comedy is, because our job is to make the uncomfortable comfortable and funny. And I'd rather be a guy that just goes out on my shield like, "Look, man, I'm just going for it. And it might offend some people, but I hope it makes some people laugh that have been through these situations." And I can't thank that guy enough, man. That shit meant so much to me, by him showing me his leg and be like, I'm laughing at it. So if anybody else was to ever come up to me if I did that joke and said, "How could you dare say that?" But it just lets me know that what we do as comedians is important. And I hope this guy helped me, and I hope my jokes help him, because I get messages. The messages that mean the most to me on social media and everything is the ones that, when people are in the hospital and they're sick or they got a disease and they're like, "Dude, the only thing that makes me laugh is going to YouTube and watching your videos." Or they said they were in Afghanistan or Iraq and they were able to pull up my videos, or somebody sent them a DVD of mine and they were able to watch it and it got them through. Because just think, can you imagine you're in somewhere, you don't have internet, but you got a DVD, and you and like 5-6 guys in your platoon just sitting around watching a comedy show. And then the fact that it could be yours, mine, that's just mind-boggling to me. And it just lets me know that comedians, what we do is important, because we're letting people escape reality for a few hours. That's no different than NFL football and NBA basketball is important, because for me, that's my escape. It lets me escape everything I'm going through for those 2-3 hours to watch that NBA game or the NFL game or a good boxing match or a good UFC fight. It's just an escape, and that's why it's so popular, and that's why those guys deserve all the money that they get. And that guy come up to me with his prosthetic leg meant so much to me. And I'm not even going to do a crazy stepdad story this week, because I don't want to ruin how we just ended this podcast. You know what? I will end on this, because my stepdad never joined the military. He never did. And he told me when the draft came, he said they used to draft by your birthdays. And he said, it just so happened my birthday was 364. I was like, what are the chances? And I don't know if he was telling the truth or not, but he did say my draft number was, his birthday just was 364. There's only 365 days. I don't know if they even did February 29th. I think the military knew, we don't want this fucker. Nah, he ain't gonna make it. We ain't gonna let this motherfucker. When's his birthday? Okay, keep him out. So yeah, again, thank you to that guy. And and I hope I post on my Instagram. I hope somebody can tag him and I can thank him personally through a message of him just showing me his leg like that. It just meant a lot to me that he's able to laugh, turn something tragic and make it funny and share a laugh with me about it. It just meant a lot. All right, y'all. Well, anyways, like I said, I gave you my rundown of where I'm going to be on March. Virginia Beach, March 1st to the 4th. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, March 9th to the 11th. And then Columbus, Ohio, March 15th to the 18th. All right, y'all. This is Gary Owen with the Get Some. Everybody, this is Gary Owen. Get some.
That's like my son will talk back to me, man, and my daughter, man. They don't talk back to their mother at all. That's why I'm so glad a black woman's raising my kids, man. Because they don't talk back. They'll talk back to me. They don't talk back to her. You know, my kids doing shit. They don't even care. I'm like, what are you doing? Don't tell mom. What do you mean don't tell mom? I'm your dad. I'm just saying, you gonna tell her? You gonna tell her? Only 3 people in the room, Dad. She finds out. We gonna know who told. We gonna know who told. I was like, what if I do tell her? I'm just saying, Dad, snitches get stitches. Sometimes snitches get stitches. All right, I ain't gonna say shit.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen with the Get Some podcast. You can listen on iTunes. Just search Gary Owen, #Get Some, or search United We Cast. Or you can listen on YouTube. YouTube.com/Gary Owencom. That's actually my YouTube page. So you can listen to podcasts, but you can also watch some funny ass videos on there of my stand-up and skits and everything. Couple things that have happened. I talked about the Super Bowl last week, but I didn't get too in depth with it. But something hit me about this argument about Tom Brady. Is he the greatest quarterback of all time? And I say he is, just because you throw for 500 yards and you lose. That's not your fault. And then, even at the end of the game, he was driving again. But his Super Bowl record is 5-3. And the only quarterback you can really compare him to is Joe Montana that can hold up. And Montana was 4-0 in Super Bowls. And I think it's a lot. The Brady-Montana argument is very similar to LeBron and Jordan. Because LeBron's gone to all these NBA finals, and he's got an average record in the NBA finals. LeBron's 3-5 in the finals, and Brady's 5-3 in the Super Bowl. And then Montana's 4-0, and Jordan's 6-0. So if you look at it, Montana and Jordan is in the same era. I mean, Jordan came a few years after Montana, but they played in the same era. And then you got LeBron and Brady all in the same era, like all their years are the same. And it's just, what's a greater accomplishment? Carrying the team and taking them to the finals like every year, or going and never winning? I don't know. Because the thing about LeBron is he's clearly the only reason his teams were in the finals. Cleveland they would have no chance of being in the finals. None. Without LeBron. Now, if the Heat brings in Chris Bosh and doesn't bring in LeBron, they're still a playoff team, but they're not going to the finals. So what's the bigger accomplishment? Because think about it. When Jordan left the Bulls, they were still in the playoffs. And they went, I think they went 7 games with the Knicks when the Knicks won in 90, when the Knicks not win, but when the Knicks went to the finals in 94, they went 7 games with the Knicks, and then in 95, Jordan came back, but it was halfway through the season. They lost to the Magic, so that I didn't really count that as a real comeback. The comeback was 96 when Jordan had a full off season and was healthy. So it's like, what's the bigger accomplishment? And that's something you can argue with people all day about. Who's better, LeBron or Jordan, or Montana or Brady? Like, what says more about your career? Going to so many finals in a row and not winning them all, but going, or, Jordan went to 6 and then Montana went to 4. That's an argument. I don't know, but it's, to me, LeBron and Jordan are 1 and 2 all time as far as players. And then it's Brady and Montana, in my eyes, as the greatest quarterbacks of all time. I mean, I don't think there's any argument with Brady and Montana, but there could be an argument with LeBron and Jordan. I don't think there's no argument with Jordan. I think there's an argument with LeBron being the second best player of all time. I'm anxious to see how this season plays out and see where LeBron ends up. Because I was looking at stats the other day, and I think LeBron has a shot to be the all-time leading scorer if he stays healthy of all time. I didn't think nobody would ever catch Kareem. But for a while there, I thought Kobe had a small outside shot. Then Kobe started to break down a little bit. And then I thought Karl Malone had a shot until we went to the Lakers and started getting hurt in the finals and just stopped. I never seen anybody just like, I'm out. All right, I gave it a run. Because I thought the Lakers could have got another run out of Peyton and Malone and Kobe and Shaq. But he was, all right, I'm out. And Shaq leaves. And that was pretty much it. That was a 1 year run that didn't pan out like they thought. But I was looking at LeBron's stats. He's got an outside shot. I mean, when he retires, if he stays healthy, he's going to be in the top 10 in assists, rebounds, and could be the all-time leading scorer when it's all said and done. That's what's crazy. And, every team he's been on, he's pretty much carried. So who's the best player of all time? It's a bar argument that you will never win. You'll just be drunk. That's all you're going to do. If you get in an argument over somebody, or just not argument, but a discussion, Jordan or LeBron, the only thing that's going to get accomplished is you're going to be fucked up at the end of the night. You're just going to be drunk because you're not going to change anybody's mind by the end of it. And it's the same with Montana and Brady. You're not going to change anybody's mind. If you're from the Bay Area, there's no way. Or Notre Dame, you're like Joe Montana. And if you're from the Northeast, it's Tom Brady. And it's pointless to have an argument with people. I've never seen anybody change their mind at a bar or on a bus or at a heated discussion where you're that passionate about somebody. I've never seen anybody change their mind. You just be like, it was good while it lasted with the teams they were on, but it's so pointless to have that argument. It really is. Now, the other big news that happened is Quincy Jones went on a rampage, and I guess when you're over 80, you really don't give a fuck anymore. You really don't. Like, he is just talking about things Michael Jackson said. And then here's the thing about Quincy. He's not lying. He's got no reason to lie. Because I had a TV deal with Quincy Jones years ago, and he would tell me stories about Frank Sinatra and Michael Jackson. And I never would tell him because I thought he told me that in confidence. And it was a story that I felt like I had that I could tell amongst friends, but I would never tell him like on a podcast or just in public like that. Because there were some juicy stories. And I was just like, I felt so privileged to know. And I felt privileged that he trusted me enough to tell these stories. And I was just like, and he's not lying. That's the thing. If somebody tells you a story about Frank Sinatra or Michael Jackson, you're like, yeah, right. So Quincy Jones comes out and says, first he says, Richard Pryor's wife came out and had said Richard Pryor is bisexual. And they said he had sex with Marlon Brando and numerous other people. And then she said it was the 70s though. I mean, people were doing quaaludes and drugs and it was free love and you just did what you did. And I'm like, in a way, I want to live in the 70s era. But when I hear you're so fucked up that you don't care who you're fucking, I don't want to be no part of that. I don't want to wake up the next day like, oh shit, I didn't know I was gay. I don't want to ever be that fucked up. I don't ever want to do so many drugs or have so much sex that I'm bored with women. I've heard stories about that. I've heard like athletes and A-listers and stuff in the 70s and 80s when drugs was free and sex was free, that it was just like dudes would be with so many women, they were bored because they've done everything they could do with a woman that they went to a dude. I was like, dude, I don't want to have that much pussy. I can't imagine getting to the point where I'm bored with women that I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take a dick in my ass. Or I'm just going to stick my dick in some dude's ass. Just see how it feels. Nah. Honestly, that's what keeps me from committing crimes is going to prison. I'm straight. I'm straight. I'm good. I don't want no part of that. But Richard Pryor's wife came out, and then I guess she's going to release everything. And she's like, and she's not ashamed of it. She goes, I don't want people to think bisexuality is a bad thing. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. But what I am saying is, would Richard be okay? She said he would be. It's going to be like some memoirs that he wrote or a journal that is now getting released that he wrote about. So if it's in his own words, I don't know. I just, in a way you want to be part of the 70s, in a way you don't. I'm like, oh, wow. I mean, if this is social media age, we've known about this years ago. But the fact that it happened in the 70s, which is another reason you kind of want to be back in the 70s, man, because all your business wasn't out there like that at all. You know, that's the good and the bad of social media. The good is you can reconnect with people and you do get to have a voyeuristic life, and you can look into people's lives and have an insight into celebrities and athletes and politicians that you didn't have, and you have that interaction with them that you would never have before. But the bad thing is, you know, your privacy is compromised, and then people start rumors that aren't validated, and we believe it. You know, all you got to do is get accused of something on social media and people believe it. And it might not be true at all. Or somebody might just say something off the wall and people run with it. And you're like, that didn't happen. I wasn't there. Or that wasn't me. Or you don't have to have any proof. People just, they like to see people fall. I got some great Quincy Jones stories because we got an interesting relationship because I went to Montreal back in 1999 and I did the Montreal Comedy Festival. And I was on a New Faces. They got this thing called New Faces. And back in the day, Montreal Comedy Festival was where a lot of comedians got deals. Like they walked out of there with huge TV deals. And that particular year, I went up on the New Faces comedy show. There's all these different, they got the Urban Show. They got the New Faces show. That's the new comics. They got the Nasty Show. That's a dirty show. They got a female show. They got all these different like showcases. And then the bigger comics will have their own night, like numerous nights, like Richard Jeni when he was alive. And then now Kevin Hart would go, or Judd Apatow, or Chris Rock might go to Montreal, or Chappelle. And they'll be like the big shows at night. Then they got all these other little shows at these little clubs all over Montreal. And so I went in 99. And here's how my week went in Montreal. I get there. And my first night I went up, and keep in mind, I had worked on the same 5 minutes, because you only get 5 minutes, for like 2 months. And my shtick was, I'm from a trailer park and I got out, basically. And because I wasn't married at the time, it wasn't a black-white thing. We was going there with my agency, and I was with CAA at the time. And my agent at CAA said, you know, we got to get this point of view across. And he goes, you got a good shot to get a TV deal out of Montreal. He goes, we're going to go the trailer park route. And I was like, okay. So for 2 months, I worked on this 5 minutes that I was going to do in Montreal. Now keep in mind, I'm doing it in the States though. So I get to Montreal, and come to find out I'm the showcase. I'm the first show of the entire Montreal Comedy Festival. And we drew numbers and my name came up first. So I was the first comic to start the festival. So every agent, every manager, every TV exec was at this first show. It was basically kicking off the whole festival. And it was New Faces. So it's a bunch of newcomers, right? So I got 5 minutes. So when I looked at the audience, the show was like at 6 p.m. And I looked at the audience. It was so old and so white, like blue hair. I looked at my agent. I go, I'm going to switch my setup. They're not going to get my jokes. Because I'm like 24, 23 at the time. Like, they're not going to get any of my jokes. I got to switch this up. He goes, no, Gary, listen to me. It doesn't matter if they laugh or not. We got the TV execs here to get your point of view. So I went against my judgment and I did the 5 minutes that I had been working on, and I bombed. I mean, when I say I didn't get a clap when I walked up. And then when I went up, I didn't get even close to a laugh. I didn't get a ha. I just had people staring at me for 5 minutes. So I get off the stage and I'm pissed. One, I'm pissed at myself because when you got 5 minutes, you don't have a chance. It's not like at a comic club where you can dig yourself out of a hole, or you can kind of work with the audience and play with them and see what they like. 5 minutes is 5 minutes. So I get done with my 5 minutes and I'm pissed that I didn't listen to my gut. And I said, I should have bailed on that material I had and just played to that audience, played to Montreal and Canada and the old people that was in the audience. And I got off stage and I remember I walked out the back door and I started walking back to my hotel. My hotel was probably 2 miles from the venue. And my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, the agents came up and was like, yo, a couple TV execs want to meet Gary. And she goes, he's not coming out. I know him. And she followed me she stayed about 50 yards behind me the whole walk back to the hotel. I just remember how pissed I was. And what made it worse was it's the summertime. I'm in Canada. There's nothing on TV. Nothing. There's no football. There's no basketball. It was July. And I was just like, I had nothing to watch on TV. And I had a day off before I would go up again. I never left my room. I didn't want to leave my room to eat. And my wife, to her credit, she just kind of played her role. She just was quiet, was with me, and let me get my frustrations out. And like, we were getting phone calls like, hey, they're having a big gala tonight, big party, all the comics. I didn't want to go because I felt like everyone was going to be looking at me like, there he is. That's the guy that bombed. So I show up 2 days later to the second New Faces Showcase, because you get 2 chances to showcase. And this time I'm going 5th instead of 1st. There's 8 comics on the New Faces. So I'm right in the middle this time. And I had a good set. Not great, it was good, but I bailed on the 5 minutes that I brought. And I just did another 5 minutes on Montreal and everything I saw. So I got some decent laughs and got done. I felt better, right? And then when I got there, though, every comic, all 8 comics was talking about the audience from the first night. I guess everybody bombed. I guess all 8 of us, nobody got any laughs. And I was like, oh, they said, dude, that crowd was terrible for everybody. He goes, it's like they brought him in just to watch us. Like, I was like, oh, I left and snuck off stage, so I didn't see the other 7 comics go up. So I just thought I bombed. Come to find out, everybody ate it. So it didn't make me feel any better, but I felt like, oh, okay. So I go up the second night, I'm there, and I get decent laughs, nothing crazy. But Quincy Jones, I see him in the balcony. And I was like, oh, Quincy Jones is here. So then they tell me somebody missed their flight for the Urban Show. And they said, can you stay an extra day and do the Urban Show, which is the Black Show, the next night? And I was like, yeah. So I switched my flight. They paid for it. And I stayed for the Urban Show. And now I'm right in my wheelhouse. That's my audience. So I go up. There's 2 Urban shows. There's like one at 7 and one at 10. And they told us the 10 o'clock show can get a little rowdy. So the 7 o'clock, I do a different 5 minutes than I did the New Faces show. So now I've gone up 3 times. I've done 15 minutes of material, but it's new. Every show was different. Then I go to the late show and they're rowdy, and I'm one of the later ones on. So I just start going into the audience and got a little dirty, a little filthy, but it was fun. And I get done. And then I get back to LA. I was living in LA at the time. And I was like, great. I had 4 sets. I was 3 for 4, basically. But every set got better in my mind. I was like, I started off shitty. Then the second set was a little better than the third set. I didn't know that Quincy Jones saw all 4 of my sets. He saw all 4 of them. So I get back to LA and they say, Quincy Jones wants to meet with you. And I go, huh? They say he wants you to come to the house. So I go to his house. Classic Quincy. You don't meet in an office. You just go to his crib. So I go to his house and he tells me the whole story. He goes, I went there looking for new talent. He goes, and I noticed that every night you went up, you did something different. He goes, and then you adjusted to the audience. He goes, because I saw you not do well the first night, but he said nobody did well because that audience was terrible. He said, then I saw you switch it up the next night. He goes, then when I saw you in front of black people, I was like, whoa, where's this fucker been? And then he goes, it just hit me. He goes, you're like a chameleon. You just kind of adapt to what's going on around you in the audience, and you work the material. He goes, I liked it. I liked it a lot. He goes, because you still were yourself every night. You didn't switch it up. You didn't become somebody different in front of a black audience than you were in front of a white audience. You was the same guy. You just switched your jokes up so that audience would get it. And I got a TV deal out of it from Quincy Jones. So I got to know him really well because we spent like 6-7 months together developing a TV show. And we went into every network and nobody ended up buying it. Nobody picked it up. But it was cool just to have that 6-7 months where I was going over to Quincy's house and we were developing a TV show together. And we went and pitched. But this is also when I know Quincy Jones doesn't give a damn about who's in the room or who he's pitching to. Because we went into ABC at the time, and I'll never forget it. We're in the lobby, and Quincy Jones is talking about in the 1960s going to a strip club in France, right? And he's talking about how strip clubs have changed over the years, how it used to be like in Europe, it was classy. and people had business meetings and everything, and girls, they weren't grinding on you. Like, they would come over and rub your shoulders, and he was really breaking down strip clubs in France for some reason in the 60s. So then they say, okay, you guys are up. We go into ABC, and usually when you walk into the room and you got the head of the network and all these TV execs, usually whatever conversation you're having in the lobby stops. And you introduce yourself to the networks and I'm pleased to meet you. We're glad to be here, blah, blah, blah. No. Quincy Jones is still telling me the story as we're walking into ABC. The story isn't stopping because we're in the middle of, and then we sit there and he looks at these execs at ABC and was like, you guys ever been to France? Have you ever been to strip clubs in France? And when I tell you 2 of the guys in the room were gay, and they looked at him like, no, we don't like pussy. I knew as soon as Quincy Jones was like, yo, you guys ever been to France, been to a strip club? Not explaining, and we're talking about strip clubs in the 60s. He's not fully explaining the story. When those guys like, no. And I remember thinking, we ain't gonna sell the show here. They were so done when they could care less about our pitch meeting. And that was the only pitch meeting where I left ABC. I didn't get to my car and they had already said no. Usually it takes a day. Let's discuss it and we'll get back to it. Even if they don't like it, usually networks are polite enough that they'll give you a day to make you think they discussed it. When I tell you we left the room and it had to be 10 minutes later, my phone rang. Yeah, ABC's passing. I was like, God damn. But looking back on it, it was such a great story because I was like, oh my God, he just didn't give a shit. Like, nah, man. We're still talking about these strip clubs in the 1960s in France. He finished the whole story before he even acknowledged the guys at ABC. He finished, and I was just like, sweat beads were popping on my head. I'm like, Q, man, you know we in the room now, right? Like, we're pitching a family show, bro. We're pitching a family show, man. He's still going. He's not gonna stop. But I love the fact that now Quincy's like, yeah, I dated Ivanka Trump. Now he's like, he dated her 14 years ago when she was in her early 20s. He goes, yeah, somebody asked me to introduce her, went out with her a couple times, didn't work out, didn't like her dad, didn't like Donald. And now he said, what Quincy said, he got 22 girlfriends and they all know each other. I'm like, what the fuck? But even think about the girls that he's been linked with in the past. He was linked with the Bond girl, Playboy Bunnies. I couldn't imagine going to the Playboy house with Quincy Jones in the 70s or 80s. Good, shut it down. Especially the 80s, post Michael Jackson, Thriller. Come on now. Ain't nobody saying no to Quincy. Ain't nobody saying no to Quincy. He just got that aura about him, that presence, man. He's like, hey, what's up, baby? What's up? He used to call me Snow Cone. Snow Cone. What's up, baby? What's up, man? I remember one time he found me. I was at a Marriott in Washington, D.C., and my hotel phone rang. And it was Quincy on the phone. I go, how the hell did he find me? Like, when the phone rang, it was Snow Cone. What's up, baby? This is Quincy. I go, what's up, Quincy? Yeah, man. Just started talking to me about the TV show, but I was like, how the hell did he find me? To this day, I do not know how he found out what hotel I was at in DC. And this is the great story. The one story I remember, though, I was, it was like Friday afternoon, and Quincy said, hey, man, I want to come to the house. I want to talk to you about the TV show. And I was like, all right, man, but I'm on the red eye. I got a red eye flight to New Orleans. I'm in New Orleans on Saturday. And I was like, I'm on the red eye flight, so I got to be in New Orleans tomorrow. He goes, no problem. He goes, if the meeting runs too long, I'll just send you on a jet. So I had a ticket. I had a ticket to fly to New Orleans commercial. Quincy says, if our meeting runs too long, I don't know if it's his private jet or a private jet. He goes, I'll just put you on a private jet and send you. But he didn't say private jet. He goes, I'll just put you on a plane and send you to New Orleans. And I had to ask my manager at the time, what's he mean, put me on a plane? He goes, he's going to send you on a private plane if the meeting runs too long. And I was like, oh. I said, can I be late for the meeting? I just want to, I want to stall so I can get on a private jet. I'd never been on a private jet at that point. And I didn't. I was on time for the meeting. And then at one point, he goes, hey, what time's your flight? Let's say 11 p.m. I was like, 11. And it was like 9 o'clock. He goes, oh, okay. You got to get to the airport. And I was like, no, I don't. let's talk about something else in the show. I was doing everything I could to stall, and I couldn't stall long enough, and I didn't get to ride on the private jet. I flew I just got on my regular ass United Airlines plane, flew my ass to New Orleans with the layover. But the whole time I was on that flight, I was like, I could be on a private jet right now. That meeting would have lasted 1 hour longer. And Quincy's a talker, so I just figured, he's going to talk. He's going to talk all night. No, it was as short as he talked. I was like, God damn it. I really want to. And to this day, I've only been on one private jet in my life where I flew. I've toured them and been on some that landed, but Tom Joyner let me fly with him to Atlanta one time. It was a short flight too, from Cincinnati to Atlanta. Tom Joyner came to Cincy and he did a live remote, and I came and sat in with them. And then I said, I got to go. He said, where you going? I said, I got a show in Atlanta tonight. He goes, I'm going to Atlanta. I said, really? He goes, yeah, just ride with me. I was like, okay. And then I met him at the private airport, and he's got a black airplane. He calls it, instead of JetBlue, he calls it Jet Black. And it's a black airplane with 2 black pilots. It's kind of cool. And Tom let me ride with him. Man, I was taking every selfie, every Instagram like it was my jet. Because Tom closed the door and he had a bed in bed. He got a little bedroom on the plane. He went in the back, went to sleep. So I'm in the middle, got direct TV and got that big seat with a table. And he had brought Subway and we ate Subway. I was like, I act like it was my shit. I go, yeah, just flying to Atlanta, get some work done. And then people were like, damn, you doing it like that? I was like, yeah. Not knowing I was hitchhiking, basically. And I will never forget. We get to Atlanta, me and Tom Joyner. I get off the plane, and the driver's waiting on me. So I had to call the driver, because I was doing this hair show called the Bronner Brothers Hair Show, which is a huge hair show in Atlanta every year. They do it twice. They do one in the winter, one in the summer. But they always have a big comedy show one night as part of the hair show. And that's why I was going to Atlanta, to be doing the Bronner Brothers Hair Show. And it was funny because I had to call the Bronner Brothers and be like, yo, I'm not landing into Atlanta International Airport anymore. I'm landing at this private airport. So my driver just came over and picked me up at the private airport. And when you fly private like that, the car just pulls up on the tarmac. You get out the plane and you get in the car. There's no security or anything. And my driver, I just remember, and I don't know if he thought, because I got off the plane and he didn't see Tom, that he thought it was my plane, which I think he did. But because Tom was still asleep when we landed. And I just kind of went, all right, Tom, thanks a lot, man. I just heard him yelling, all right, Gary. Because he had the door closed. All right, Gary. So I think the driver thought it was my plane. So we're driving to the hotel, and I kid you not, the driver said he could have played for the Atlanta Braves. He helped start Motown, I think, some record label from the 70s he helped start. And he helped discover somebody. It was 3 jobs. It was one in music, one was an athlete, and then it was something else. And all I kept thinking was, you know, I don't believe you, right? Because you're my driver. Like, you're literally driving me right now. And I think you started Motown or started So Def. It was something like that. It was some huge record label that he started. And then he discovered like 2 artists, like legendary artists he helped discover. And I was just looking at him like, I don't believe you, right? Like, even if you're telling the truth, either you're telling the truth and you're terrible with money, or you've burned a lot of bridges and nobody wants to work with you anymore. So either way, these stories don't make you look good, even if they are true. They make you look really bad because now you're driving me. And it just doesn't look right. I'm like, even if they're true, I would never tell anybody that. It's like, I don't like to meet movie stars or big singers or anything if they don't know who I am. Because I hate being in a room and they're like, hey, man, it's Gary Owen. He's funny. He's a comic. Like, where do I go from that? Do I start cutting up and doing a dance move? Hey, start pop locking. Old school. I hate meeting people like that. I don't want to meet people when they're at my shows and they know who I am. I hate meeting like big celebrities and I get introduced. I'm a comedian. Makes my skin crawl. I'm like, don't tell him that. Please don't tell him that. All right, I got to do a crazy stepdad story. This one is interesting because when I was in the Navy, I was in the Presidential Honor Guard for 2 years when Clinton was in office. And to get in the Presidential Honor Guard, they do such a thorough screening process. Like you to be in there, because you're on the White House lawn a lot, you can have no kind of police record. None. So one time I had a buddy of mine and he was from Denver, Colorado. His name was Matthew Peck. I'll never forget it. He was driving from Denver to DC because he was bringing his car back from home. And I told him, I said, dude, I'm off for the weekend. What I'll do, I'll catch a Southwest flight, which was only like $100. I'll get a one-way. I said, I'll meet you in Ohio and I'll ride the rest of the way with you on Sunday. He was like, cool. So I was coming in Friday night to Ohio. We were going to hang out Friday, Saturday at in Cincinnati. So he got to Ohio Thursday night and he called me. He goes, hey man, I'm really close to your house, man. And this is before GPS and Waze and all that stuff and cell phones. So when he's calling me, he's at a payphone. So he calls me. He's like, yo man, I'm about an hour outside of Cincinnati. He said, I got here early. And I had told him he's just going to stay at my house or my mom and stepdad's house. And I said, okay, well, let me call home and let him know you're in town so you can stay there tonight. He goes, all right. So keep in mind, this is a guy that had a thorough background screening from the United States government to make sure he's safe and he's good to be on the White House lawn. So I called my mom and I said, hey mom, man, I got a buddy. I was getting in the next day, Friday. And I was like, I got a buddy. He's about an hour from the house. I said, is it okay if he stays at the house tonight? He's cool sleeping on the couch. I said, but he's in the honor guard with me. And she knew I was coming in town to see this guy anyways. So my mom was like, okay. My stepdad calls me like an hour later and is like, hey man, I'm not comfortable with him coming over, man. We got the little kids and I don't know them and da-da-da. And I was just thinking, okay, that's fine. So looking back on it, I can see where you're like, I don't know this guy. You got some 19-year-old kid going to stay at the house. We don't know him. And I just thought my judgment was good enough that I wouldn't send anybody to the house of questionable character. That's what I thought. So he said, no, he can't stay there. And I said, all right. So looking back on it, I could see where a dad could be like, now that you hear about these predators, you never know, people have different personalities. Okay, I get it. Here's where it becomes a crazy stepdad story. Fast forward 20 years later, my brother, who passed away of a heroin overdose, they know he does drugs, and they know he hangs with drug addicts. Drug addicts hang with drug addicts. And so my mom tells me a story, and I already know it before she ends it. I already know what's going to happen. And she goes, Dallas had a friend stop by and said his car broke down, and he had nowhere to stay. And he couldn't get anybody to come out and help him fix his car until the next day. And so Dallas said, can he stay at the house? And so, we let him stay all night. And I already knew where this was going. I was like, okay, you got a heroin addict. Heroin addicts steal everything because it's not really them. It's their body saying, we need this heroin and we need money for heroin. And we would do anything to get it. So I already know. I said, if it's Dallas's friend, that dude's a drug addict, or he's in some way involved in the drug game. So my mom says she woke up the next morning and she went in her purse and all her money was gone. And the guy was gone. I was like, okay. And Rod, my stepdad, he let this guy stay all night too. So then they end up calling the guy, and the guy answers the phone, his cell phone, and was like, no, I didn't take it. I don't know what you're talking about. And they said, well, we're calling the cops and they're coming to your house and da-da-da. So then he copped it. He goes, well, look, man, Dallas owed me money. He owed me money already. So I just took the money out of your purse because he wasn't ever going to pay me back. So this is the money that he owes me that I took. And so it just becomes this whole this ugly situation where they end up pressing charges against the guy. And this is 4 years ago. I don't know whatever happened to him. I don't know. But it just is amazing to me that when I asked for a stranger to stay all night who was in the Presidential Honor Guard, a serious screening process that's probably the safest guy you could have stay at your house as far as like honorable, not going to steal, has no police record. And he's a military buddy. That's what military guys do. I mean, and I don't know how it is in regular people. When you in the military, that's a close-knit group, especially if somebody that's in your platoon or in your squadron, because you guys are with each other so much. I'm like, this is my guy. And they said no. And I felt bad. And then he called me. Don't worry about me. I'll stop at a river. I'll get a hotel for the night. And then he ended up picking me up from the airport next morning. He goes, I'll just stay by the Cincinnati airport and I'll pick you up tomorrow when you land. I said, all right. He was cool about it. But I still felt bad because we didn't make a lot of money and he had to spend probably, $80 on a hotel room that night that I felt like he didn't need to spend. And to fast forward and then to let my brother talk him into having a drug addict stay. But I was just like, God damn, dude, you trust that dude? And I already knew. I was like, when my mom called me, I was like, the dude robbed you. I knew when she started talking, yeah, it was Dallas had her friend come over. I was like, okay, that's not good. And he said his car broke down and he couldn't get a hold of anybody. And he was telling us, he was so polite. I was like, yeah, they're good like that. They're charmers. I knew it. I was like, he was coming in that house to scope it and to get some money. I already knew it. And I love my brother to death. I love him so much. But when he was doing heroin, it wouldn't surprise me if they was in on it together. If Dal was like, I'm not stealing from my mom, but, she puts her purse on the kitchen sink every night. And if you grab the money, you know what I mean? Then they can get some heroin together. It was just so obvious where the story was going. And sometimes I would listen to my mom, my stepdad, and I'd be like, really? I knew that he came in the house and left and something was missing. I didn't know what, but so, yeah, I just think it's crazy how he didn't trust me, the guy that never got in trouble, but you're going to trust him. It's mind-boggling. Anyways, I always like to end on the crazy stepdad story because I like to end my podcast on a high note. That's my goal. So, all right, y'all. Well, I'll see you guys next week with another episode of the Gary Owen Get Some podcast.